visitors, and welcome to the United Kingdom. I hope this short educational film will help introduce you to our way of life when you immigrate from here and here all the way to here. You'll soon discover the ordinary Brit is a friendly fella. He'll want to know where you've come from, how many of your friends might be joining you, and every bally one of you will get a personal welcome from a top politician. Here's Chairman Vaz at Luton Airport, greeting hordes of Bulgarians and Romanians. At least some of them. Now, once the British Empire spanned the globe, lots of red here. But since then, there have been some cuts, and they're still cutting. That's little us, just there, just there. And now, Mr. Chancellor Osborne wants us to get even smaller.
If 2014 is a year of hard truths for our country, then it starts with this one. Britain should never return to the levels of spending of the last government. We'd either have to return borrowing to the dangerous levels that threatened our stability, or we'd have to raise taxes so much we'd put our country out of business. Government is going to have to be permanently smaller, and so too is our welfare system.
The big question, of course, is who's going to have to tighten their belts. On that, the government is being tight-lipped, at least for now. But, as the man said, we're all in this together. Why, even the Prime Minister has to live in this poky, terraced house. He's trying to avoid a new tax that his deputy wants to impose on rich people and their mansions. And that's because the very liberal and democratic Mr. Nicholas Clegg is not so keen on cutting welfare.
I think it is simply not serious politics of the Conservative Party to say we're so reluctant to ask the wealthiest in this country to make even a smidgen of an extra contribution, we're going to ask all future sacrifices to come from the working age poor who depend on welfare. That is unrealistic.
Hello? Oh, hello. So, there you have it. The coalition government agrees there should be cuts, but can't agree how. So they've agreed to disagree. Even Mr. Chancellor Osborne and Welfare Secretary Mr. Duncan Ian Smith, who don't always see eye to eye on this. But Mr. Osborne's not worried. And that's because we're all talking about the economy and not the cost of living. Because that's what the socialists want to talk about.
The reason why the Chancellor is saying he's going to cut spending more, the reason why there's a cost of living crisis is because he's failed to get the economy growing and to get the deficit down as he promised. But today he's given us no indication as what he can do in future to actually get the deficit down in a fair way, to deal with that cost of living crisis, to get the long-term growth we need to deal with that problem.
This is one of London's finest tourist attractions. Just look at all these happy people. Some aspects of life in Britain may seem confusing. The language and customs strange. For example, the shadowy Chancellor, Mr. Edward Balls, says he could work with his opponent, Mr. Nicholas Clegg. And the Mayor of Boris, London Johnson, says Mr. Clegg would be an asset in any coalition government, and not just for the weekend.
I don't want to get into some sort of endless ding-dong with poor old Cleggers. You know, that he's there to fulfil a very important ceremonial function as David Cameron's kind of lapdog come prophylactic protection device for all the difficult things that David Cameron has to do.
If you click on the red button thingy, you can probably get that translated. Now, the big row behind the scenes is why the pain of all these spending cuts should fall on the young and not the old. The Prime Minister says their state pension will rise by 2.5% each year, and they'll keep their bus passes, TV licences and fuel payments. Why, even the old lady who lives in this house gets help from the state. This is the London Eyeball. It's very popular with visitors. And some say it's you who should have your benefits cut, and not the old and the young. Mr. Nigel Farage of the United Independent Kingdom Party says you shouldn't have a penny for 5 years. And he says some of you should go home, even if it costs the economy.
Are you, Nigel Farage, saying, I accept, we could be poorer, but so be it?
Yes, so be it. I don't want to live in a country whose population is heading towards 75 million people. There are some things in a society and in a community that actually matter more than just money.
You may find political debate here in the UK more sedate than back home. None of that foreign shouty stuff here. No, not in the Mother of Parliaments. At least, not this week, when the Labour leader, Mr. Edward Miliband, tried to stop the Punch and Judy. Instead, they discussed the weather.
Can you tell the House whether it's become clear why it took so long for some of the energy distribution companies to restore power to homes over the Christmas period, and what steps does he believe can be taken to ensure that that kind of thing doesn't happen again?
The flood defences did protect up to 1 million homes over the December and Christmas period, but there are some negatives there, and we need to learn lessons. I think particularly some of the energy companies didn't have enough people over the holiday period for emergency response.
So, that's the long and short of Britain today. Less spending, less immigration, more weather. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy your time here. But don't outstay your welcome, or you'll get another visit from that nice Mr. Vaz. Goodbye.